Okay, we're going to put in a second door. This time around the door is going to be not the key, but we're going to use the lever. So if you click on the lever option, again, this is going to have similar ones, but this time around, instead of being a pickup where the key goes away, we actually have a up and down animation. So there's an idle up, and then there's going to be a idle end animation to it, and then when it takes it back up. Alright, so those will be the main differences for the setup for this door. Let's go ahead and select the folder here. Alright, so once it's done here, we'll click on the second door right here. Now, we could go through, so we've done this before, but just to kind of restate it, is that if you have properties of one that's already mostly done, you can just right-click and say Copy Properties. And if you know they're close to what you want for the other one, I'm just going to say Paste Properties. So now this one, the lever one is actually set up as a door. The main things we want to change here, we just want to say door lever and use lever or levers to open door. The general, since the labels are all the same in terms of the labels here, that means that thumbnail, mover, static, all those are actually going to come in the same for us, which is a good thing. It makes it easier for us to set everything else up. Alright, collider will be the same way this way. If we go down here to we'll scroll down to trigger settings. So again, trigger settings are enabled. The position, rotation, scale, the scale should be 8 and 8 for left and right. And if we keep going down here, we should see our door settings. So the biggest change on the door settings here is that what we're in terms of what we want to happen for the door itself, what we could say is that the door is paused at the end. If you want to say that the lever opens it and keeps it open, we could also say that on the a door is trigger, but also because it's a lever, let's say that instead of being at the door trigger, let's say we actually say just on the last key picked up, which means on a lever, if you enable it, you've picked it up, but if you disable it, you're technically dropping the key, so you are actually closing the door. So think of like a light switch open and close, or a garage door opening and closing. Same kind of principle applies to it. Alright, so we also have the move time. We'll go ahead and leave default on the 3 right there. The door disabling, again, we'll leave it at end state for it here. And we leave those just because the door animations, we have a static set that actually just has the door animating visually, animating upwards. So we'll just make sure that we're covering for both cases of the moving door and the static door. Alright. And then we have the audio and text we've already looked at from the previous one. So if you've come just to this one, be sure to go back to the other one to take a look at it. Same thing for the door shaking, the key settings. Main thing we're going to be looking at for this one. So we have a lever, but what we want to do is say, how does the lever react? Lever close state. So all keys to close, any key closes, and then lock always. Lock always means that if you click on the lever, it's automatically going to accept it. Once you've opened them all up, the door is going to stay locked. For the key, any key closes means that if you have 2 or 3 levers inside the scene, if you for instance, I go by and I click all 3 of them, the door opens. Well, if I go over and I get onto a lever and I turn it off, then it's going to automatically close the door, or it takes all of them to open them, all of them to close them. Alright, there is a auto reset lever, meaning that when you click on the lever, you only have a certain amount of time before it actually resets itself, and then you have to go click on it again. So this option, auto reset lever with a time delay, you can use that for that part of it. We're going to make sure we choose lever for the key type. All right, and then again, we've looked at this already, but just as a reminder here, is that you have your default settings for how you want them to come in. So you have your animations, your key, your rotation, your scale, the triggering, and all that. The very last, let's see, the last thing here was the um, key animations. Just to double check. So we have item. I just want to make sure that these are actually labeled the same, except for the to end. We're not using blank because we don't want to make it disappear. We actually want to use it. So we're going to say item to end, and then end loop. So item end, and then back to idle. So say item back to idle. So there we go. So this will give us the basic setup for all the pieces right there. All right, and that allows the door to activate, to have an animation. So when you walk by the lever, it goes down. When you walk by it again, it goes back up. All right, so again, this will be for the door setup for the lever. And again, if you haven't done the key one, be sure to do the key for some of those smaller parts and pieces with an explanation on them.